One of my criteria when someone brings me an investment is show me your decision-making level and above and your board. And if I see only white dudes on there, I don't invest in those companies. And all these people were like, oh, everyone hates white men now. No, I need diversity on the board. Like I need women, I need minorities, I need to see representation. I'm raising 2 young brown daughters. I cannot afford to have a world in which they will walk into a room one day and feel like they don't belong there or they don't deserve to be in that room. White male voices need to be included. It's just 31% of the population cannot represent 100% of a board or leadership in a company because it means you just don't care about working with the best. And I want the best.
What else goes into investing for you?
So that's like the very first criteria I look at. I also don't invest in.
You are the woman that goes into rooms and says other women's names.
Yeah.
And lifts other women up. And I do have a feeling that that is one of the reasons why you have done over $1 billion in real estate transactions.
I got off stage, and this is why you need non-competitive women, because a competitive woman would have been like, I want to deliver a better speech than her. And then after I spoke, I said, hey, FYI, this is what's happening. And so he was like, oh, got it, thank you. If you are stressed out all the time with doing all the things at max capacity every single moment, you're gonna put yourself in a place where you're not enjoying the life you're building.
Welcome to the Jen Gottlieb Show.
All right, we've been planning to do this podcast, I think since the day we met, probably. In our minds, we were like, when can we create everything under the sun together? All right, just for listeners and watchers, by the way, if you're listening, you should probably watch this on YouTube because I am wearing a leopard print dress and there's palm trees behind me, so it looks like I'm like a safari girl. And so it would be an interesting watch just for you to make fun of me and comment below, like, Jen, where are you on safari? Like, this is a little weird, it's a little much. But anyways, I'm here with my bestie, Veena Jetti, the amazing Veena. The one thing I will say about her is the thing that I always brag about you on, because it's just very impressive and I want everyone to know how good you are, what you do, is that you have generated over $1 billion in real estate.
Yes, $1 billion in transactions.
In transactions, yeah.
Yeah, that is a true thing about me.
Yeah, so that's all I really have to say about like this woman is a boss in business and real estate. But I was like, when we were talking about doing this podcast, I was like, what should we talk about? You're like, I think we should just like talk like what we would talk about at dinner.
Yeah.
And I actually said that's a great idea.
Yeah.
Because sometimes when I listen to podcasts, I kind of just want to be a fly on the wall and people are having conversations and just feel a little bit less alone in whatever I'm dealing with.
Yes.
And we always talk about stuff like that.
Yes.
So yes.
And also I feel like I love our conversations. So I'm like, other people will love our conversations.
I hope so. If they don't, they can turn it off.
Exactly. Like scroll on by. It's fine by us.
It's okay. But welcome. If you're excited to be on the Veena and Jen train today for 45 minutes, we will try our best to make this as valuable as possible. So Veena, you're here.
I am here.
In Miami.
Yes.
You're from Dallas.
Yes.
You came here to go to this brunch.
Yes.
Let's talk about it. I think this is a good topic because we're extroverting, we're going to a brunch. And I think the first thing that we can talk about, and it's a good conversation for us, me and Veena, to have because we're so different, is the difference between extroverts and introverts and how we can both be friends with each other.
Yes.
So just for the listeners, and for me, I like to hear you talk about this because it's mind-blowingly different than me.
Yes.
You're an extrovert.
Like without question, an extrovert. And I'm like the most extreme type of extrovert you could ever meet.
I know.
And you're like the total opposite. But that's why we're friends. So I always say introverts like find an extrovert who adopts them. And then that's just how they move through the world. Because my sister's an introvert. All of my closest friends, you guys are all introverts.
But can you explain, because I don't know many people like you. I want you to explain your brain and why you consider yourself an extrovert.
Because, okay, meeting people is the spice of life for me. I am like, I want to know everything about everybody, whether or not they're in business or have any common interests. Like the more diversity of friendships and the more diversity of people around me, the more fascinated I am. Because I just like people.
She likes people so much, but let me really put this into context for you. If you are sitting next to Veena on an airplane, if you ever find yourself, you're done. You are done.
Yes.
you will be doing a podcast episode interview on the airplanes because you love to know what's going on. So tell me the story about how you met Jeezy. This is a great story of an extrovert, an example of what happens when you, even if you're an introvert, have more like push yourself to be a little more extroverted and talk to people.
Yeah, 100%. Well, okay, first let me start with what I love about airplanes is like, where are you going to go? You have no
You're trapped. That's my nightmare.
Yes, thought of it. And you're like, I have to fly private because I cannot.
No, I don't know wherever. I'm never.
Yeah, you don't. But I'm like, that would be your dream because you're like, I would be all by myself and this would be amazing. And I'm over here like, I can never fly private because
you have no one to talk to.
Who would talk to me the whole flight?
Like bring your friends.
The pilots would be my besties and the flight attendants.
So you sit down on airplanes and you immediately look to the person next to you. What if the person next to you is not an interesting person to talk to or doesn't want to talk? Like if you were sitting next to me and I didn't know you, I'd have a baseball cap on and my headphones in.
Yeah, that's how I met Jeezy. And then, okay, I'm sitting on the plane. Where are we going? We're going from Vegas to Austin. And he's the last one to board the plane. So most of the time where I'm sitting there, I'm like, oh my gosh, am I going to be all by myself on an airplane? Like, this is awful. This is the worst shame. But I know. And we were talking to our other friend, Dan Fleischman, about this. And he was like, yeah, I want the seat next to me to be empty. I'm like, are you crazy? Like, that is a whole opportunity to know somebody new. And you're just going to miss out on that. And so, right. He is the last person that walks into the plane. And this man, I didn't know who he was. Like, I didn't recognize him. I'm like so bad with like, unless you're a Kardashian, I'm probably not going to recognize you. Although I did recognize you, and I knew you.
But we'll talk about how we met in another. Yeah, let's just say a little now. We'll close this story.
But this is how our conversations actually go in real life, where we start one place, we take several detours, and eventually.
Yes, but I'm going to try, because we're being recorded, to keep us on track.
Yeah, we're going to be.
Really going to try. I don't know how good I'll be at it, but I'm going to try.
We're going to try.
So you're on the plane.
I'm on the plane. He walks in. He has his hood up and sunglasses on at nighttime. And I'm like, I don't know why he's getting so comfortable like that, but okay. So he sits down next to me, and I'm like, tap, tap on the shoulder, and he looks over at me, and I go, like, he has big headphones too. And I'm like, I need you to take your headphones off, because how are we going to converse like this? It's going to be hard for you to hear me. And so he like takes his headphones off, and I'm like, hi, I'm Veena. And he's like, it's funny because I've talked to him about it since, right? And
did you know he was Jeezy? Sorry to interrupt. Okay, you did not know he was a celebrity. You just was like, this is a guy that I want to talk to.
Yeah, I don't even know. This is my seatmate.
My seatmate.
My new best friend.
So you assume that everyone that's your seatmate, this is going to be...
We're best friends.
Got it. Okay.
Yes. And so he sits down, and I'm like, oh, okay, so I'm Veena. Where do you live? What do you do? Start with the day you were born and give me your entire history and don't leave anything out. So he's like talking to me, and we're about to take off, and he gets a phone call from his sister. So he like takes this phone call, and I'm over here like, I did not say you could take a phone call in the middle of our conversation, but I'll allow it because this is only going to last for so long because we're in the air. You're not going to have reception. So we start talking, and he says, oh, I'm in entertainment. And I'm like, oh, okay, that's like the most vague answer. And I'm like, that's so cute. What do you do to like pay your bills? Are you like a server? Like, what do you do? And he's like really cool about it and like very much kind to this poor lost soul that has no idea who this person is. And for reference, for those of you guys that don't know, he is like a platinum selling, like Grammy winning, like crazy successful rapper. Like he is the one that invented trap music, I feel like. And so, we're just talking, and then we're talking about business and real estate. And I had just spoken at an event where Ed Milet spoke. And he had said, oh, I did Ed Milet's podcast. I was like, oh, I literally just saw him 10 minutes ago before I got onto this plane. So, we like played the Who's Who game. He knows actually another friend of ours that lives here, Andre Berto. It's a small world. And so we're like, oh, okay, great. And then like, look, I'll send you this resource because he's interested in real estate and he wants to scale up in multifamily. So I'm like, this is the thing I know about. And so I'm like, I'll send you all these resources. And I'm getting off the plane. This is how embarrassing I am. I'm getting off the plane, and I'm like, and he introduced himself as Jay.
So at this point, you still don't know.
I still do not know.
But he said he just said he's Jay and he's in entertainment and he was on MLS podcast.
Yes, and we had followed each other on Instagram, so I knew his Instagram name was Jeezy. And I still have not made this connection. I'm like, oh, you did a good job getting so many followers. Like, totally embarrassing, right? And so we're getting off the plane and I go, hey, tell me, what's your favorite song of yours? I'm going to give you a stream and support you. And he's like,
This man is so, you think this is like an up and coming artist that's trying to make it?
yes.
Okay.
I'm like, oh, he hasn't like done things yet. And so he's like, it's hard for me to choose. I'm like, fine, give me your top 3. I'll stream 3 of your songs, new friend. And he's like, okay, I would say there's a song called Soul Survivor. And I'm like, oh, I was like, that's so weird. There was a song when I was in college called Soul Survivor. And he looks at me and he goes, yes. And I look at him and I go, yes. And then he goes, yes, like get there faster, Veena. And I'm like, oh, but, and I'm like trying to make all the connections because this was back in like 2007. And he was called Young Jeezy at the time.
Right.
Right? And the song is like Akon and Young Jeezy. Yeah. And I'm like, but you're not Young Jeezy. You introduced yourself as Jay. And he's like, yeah. And then Nick, who's one of my other besties, tells me later, yeah, most rappers drop like the Lil or the Young because they grow up and they're not Lil or Young anymore, right? And I was like, oh, I didn't know that. So I'm like, oh my gosh, I bought one ringtone in college and it was that song. I paid 99 cents for it.
Do you remember when we bought ringtones?
Gosh. Like, and now I'm like, my phone better never ring. Ever. But back then it was cool. So he was the only ringtone I'd ever spent money on. So I ended up sitting next to him. And then we end up like texting each other. And then when I'm in Atlanta or when he's in Dallas or we're in like a completely different city, we'll meet up if our schedules allow for it. And we've just stayed in touch and we're best friends now.
You have a best friend.
Yeah.
A Young Jeezy who you listened to when you were in high school is now your best friend. And I mean, that would not have happened if... Like, it wouldn't have happened to me. I'm just going to be honest. So I want everyone that's listening, who can you relate to? Because for me, I would sit on that plane and I would wonder who this person was that was sitting next to me, very like with his headphones in and his hat on. But I wouldn't for 1 second talk to him. I'd be like, great, he doesn't want to talk. I don't want to talk. And I would completely miss that opportunity.
Yeah, it's so crazy to me because I'm like, there are times where I don't talk to the person next to me on the plane and it's only if I have like work I have to do, like I'm under a deadline and I don't have an option, but it kills me when I have to do that. Because I'm like, no, I want to know what this person next to me does. And sometimes I'll text you after I get off the plane and be like, okay, here's the life story of the
You have done that. You've done that.
Because it's fascinating. I mean, like people tell me about so many things. I still text with many people I've sat next to on planes.
It's amazing. And how many like business transactions or have you made because of your ability to go up to a random stranger and talk to them?
Millions of dollars.
Millions of dollars.
Millions of dollars.
So what, like, let's give some value to our people that are listening. What can so for me, if you're listening to this podcast, I'm hoping this isn't your first one, but if it is, amazing, nice to meet you. I am an introvert, meaning I'm the opposite of Veena. Like, I love these kind of conversations. Like, I will top in with Veena for hours and hours and hours and talk, and I love having friends, but I don't love the activity of going out and making them, meaning it depletes my batteries. I get charged by being alone. I deplete my energy from having conversations, especially with people that I don't know. So if you resonate with that, I know that I need to push myself a little bit more to do more extroverted activities if I want to make more opportunities happen in my life. I need to channel Veena a little bit. And so how can we do that in a way that feels good?
I think for introverts, and you tell me if this resonates, okay, right? But like, I don't think that you should channel your extrovertedness because that's just trying to like strengthen a weakness or I don't want to call it a weakness, but something that's not natural. It would be like if you asked me to start loving spending hours and hours and hours by myself, right? Like for your birthday last year, what did you do?
I went away for 5 days by myself.
By yourself. And you were like, I'm so looking forward to this. And in my mind, you know what my first thought when you said that was like, oh my gosh, she's going to be all by herself. Should I like fly out there to keep her company because she's going to be by herself on her birthday? Like that was literally my first thought. And then I was like, oh, wait, she's doing this on purpose. Like, this is what she wants to do to celebrate her birthday. So I don't think that there's anything wrong with that because I think there's a lot of power in who we are naturally. If you are in an environment that is for networking, and I always tell people who are shy and people confuse shyness with introvertedness. They're not the same.
Not at all, because I'm not shy.
You're not shy
at all.
But you recharge alone.
Yeah.
But if you are shy or you are an introvert that is like, I want to put myself out there more and be more intentional about building those relationships, I love airplanes for this. Because if the conversation sucks, you just go on your way and you will likely never see this person ever again.
Yeah, but here's the uncomfortable part about having conversations on your phone. Okay, well, I will tell you. And this is like, I'm all about like having a conversation at a bar where I could leave or at a restaurant where I could walk away. Yeah. When you're on an airplane, if you start talking to someone and you realize that conversation really sucks, or they've got really bad breath, or something is going on where like, I don't want to talk to this person anymore, the rest of the flight is unbelievably awkward because it's like, do I say something? Do I not? And then you're quiet and then you feel weird and then you're like, you don't talk and then, I don't know.
You excuse yourself from the conversation on the plane.
Okay, tell me how to do this because I, as a people pleaser, I have a hard time.
Recovering people pleaser.
Absolutely in recovery. I'm so proud of myself.
Yes.
I'm doing a really good job. But let's have this conversation. How do we politely excuse ourselves from the conversation instead of talking to somebody that you don't want to talk to and then you walk off the plane and you feel depleted?
Yeah, okay, so when you know that this conversation is not serving you, and you should walk away when it doesn't serve you, not off of an airplane, stay on the airplane, but you should close the conversation because it will drain you. And if anything's not serving you, introvert, extrovert, it doesn't matter. You shouldn't be there and give that energy, right? So let's say we're sitting on a plane next to each other and in some alternate universe, I don't want to talk to you anymore, right? I'll say, I love hearing about this and I could talk to you for the next 17 hours. I absolutely have to get some sleep because I have a big day once I land. I absolutely have to get this work done. I have to get through this part of my book for my book club. And then you excuse yourself to do whatever you normally
That's really good. That's a good tip, actually. That sounds lovely and empowering and great. And I'd be like, great, amazing.
Yeah, and be like, I'm so sorry. I'm going to be sucked into your story, so I can't do this. Will you please hold me accountable and let me do this thing I have to do?
I love that.
That's how you excuse yourself.
And listening to this whole thing really as some, like, I don't know if I'm exaggerating or not. No, I genuinely, I love connections.
Yes.
I don't love connecting when I'm about to do it. And I find that I'm always happy I went. So this is how I do this, because I have a lot of really amazing people in my life and I had to have gone out there and made those friends.
Yes.
I had to do something. So I just remind myself, and I reminded myself this morning about this day specifically because I knew that we were going to have this podcast and then we're going to a networking event afterwards, which is a lovely brunch. Of friends. Sandy Glenn is throwing lots of women, lots of networking. An introvert would think of that. And if you're listening to this and you're an introvert, you know this. I just know because I know it. I'm going to say it out loud to make you feel a little bit less alone. You secretly kind of hope it gets canceled or you get it out. Like me and Veena can just go to lunch by ourselves. Yeah. That's my dream. Like, why don't we just go to lunch by ourselves? But I have this knowing deep down in my gut, and it's only from experiences that I've had in the past. So I've had to get through these experiences and have the good thing happen on the other side in order for this knowing to be there. But my knowing is way stronger than my fear or my insecurity. It's not even insecurity, just like my, I don't know, laziness or lack of desire to do something outside of my comfort zone. So the knowing comes in and it says, Jenny, you will be so damn happy when you get in your bed and you said, I went and I made a good relationship. I had a cool opportunity happen. I have a new friend. That time, it continues to go on. It doesn't stop. You're never stuck in the discomfort and you always end up in your bed. And that is how I do these things. And then I always have a cool new friend on the other side. Always. Yes. So that's how I coach myself to be, I don't know if I will coach myself to do that with conversations on the airplane, but I will use that great tactic that you just gave me.
You should.
To excuse myself from the conversation.
Just say, hey, I need your help keeping me accountable because I could get sucked into your story forever.
It's lovely.
Makes them feel good. They know it's not about them and it's not that they're not interesting. You just have something else you need to prioritize.
So good.
Yeah.
You're listening to The Jen Gottlieb Show.
I want to talk about how we first met. I think it's very important because one of our favorite things to talk about, and I know we wanted to discuss this on this show in some way, shape, or form, is women helping other women, women supporting other women, the anti-competitive thing that we've got going on. And I think the theme for me right now in 2025 is really honing in to like supporting the shit out of my girlfriends and having these relationships where we're always saying each other's names in rooms and lifting each other up and bringing each other on the ride. And this was a really big example of this.
Yeah.
When we first met. So I'll let you tell the story and then I
want to hear what your perspective is.
We'll do both perspectives.
We'll do both sides of
the meet cute on both perspectives.
Yes, I love it. Okay, this can be rebranded the Meet Cute podcast. I love this. Wasn't it?
It was a meet cute.
Okay, so I get asked to speak at Fun Launch Live in, where were we? Miami?
It was Miami.
It was here in Miami.
Yeah.
Okay. This is before you lived here.
Yeah.
So we're in Miami and it's all men except for myself and Jen Gottlieb. Now, I've been following you on Instagram at that point for maybe 6 months or a year, but you put out a lot of content. So I was always seeing it and I'm liking it and I'm engaging with it. But we have a lot of common friends, but we haven't actually met yet. So I'm like, okay, this is my moment to meet the Jen Gottlieb, right? And so I'm like, okay, Veena, you need to find out, basically I'm asking the organizers when your speaking schedule is more than my own, because I'm like, I will not miss this chance to meet you in person. And I had just seen a mutual friend of ours, Cody Sperber, 2 weeks before that. And I told him, I was like, wait, you know Jen Gottlieb? He's like, yeah, I know everybody, in his Cody way. He's like, I know everybody. I'm like, what is she like? Why haven't you introduced me to her? I'm going to see her in 2 weeks at Fun Launch Live and blah, 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 whatever. And so I get there early before you are going on stage and there's the green room in the back. And I walk in and I see you and you're sitting there with the MC and he's doing the notes ahead of time to how to introduce you and what you want him to say. And I'm like, okay, Veena, just act cool. Act cool, just be cool. You are a cool person. All the things a not cool person would say in their mind is what I'm saying out loud as I'm about to meet Jen Gottlieb.
This is weird.
And I know it's so weird, right? And I'm so mean. I'm like, okay, just be cool, breathe, deep breaths. I'm thinking in my mind, okay, here's what I'm going to say to her. I hope she likes me. And I'm like, just be patient. You got to wait. She's in the middle of something important. You know what it's like to be in this conversation. So just let them do their thing. I think I waited for 13 seconds, which felt like an eternity. And I was like, I can't wait anymore. I just have to interrupt them. So I interrupt and I go, I'm so sorry to interrupt you, but are you Jen Gottlieb? As if I don't know, right? And then you looked at me and you go, are you Veena Jetti? And I'm like, know who I am? What do you mean? And I'm ready to burst into tears because I'm so overwhelmed with excitement. And you were everything that I thought you would be and so much more. And I'm just so grateful that I had that opportunity to meet. And then from there, I kept showing up in your life. I was like, I'm not going away, so you might as well settle in and get used to this friendship. The same I've done with all my other really close friends. And so that was how I experienced our meeting.
Okay, so yes, and I'm going to give more to the end as well about you. But this is wild because what you didn't know was that you went to Cody Sperber's office and you did a bunch of whiteboarding with him when you were there, right? The only reason I know this is because I went to Cody's office to do a podcast with him the week after, and I walk into his office and I look at his whiteboard. I go, wow, that's a lot of crazy stuff. And he's like, you want to know whose this is, whose strategy this is? Veena Jetti. She is a boss. She's done over $1 billion in real estate transactions. You need to know her. And I was like, whoa, she sounds scary. I was like, this girl sounds really intimidating. Oh my gosh, I don't know if I want to know Veena Jetti. That scares me. She's really, really successful in real estate. I know nothing about real estate. And he was just talking about you and props to Cody.
Yes.
For always saying women's names in the room.
Yeah,
he does. He's definitely one of those guys. And so I have this woman's name in my head, Veena. I got to know this girl. Yeah. She's all over the place. She's crushing it. Right. Okay. So I'm at Fun Launch and I'm getting ready to speak.
Yeah.
And you walk in and I knew you were speaking as well. And you introduced yourself and I was feeling maybe more nervous to meet you.
No way.
And or almost not nervous, but just because you were Jen Gottlieb. I was like, Veena Jetti. Oh my God, I'm not worthy. She's so cool. So the lesson here is she was feeling the same way as me, and we were both feeling the same way. Never underestimate the way the other person is feeling, because you can't read the label from inside the bottle. You can't see what other people see you as.
Wait, say that again.
You can't read the label from inside the bottle.
That is like a whole bar. I think we're done with the podcast now.
I've said that a couple of times.
That
and
is
it's not a
amazing.
quote, but it's good, because we're so in our own head that we definitely can't see the way other people see us or feel about us or know. That's why when you say things like, oh, people ask about you and stuff.
Oh my gosh.
That's
so
weird
much.
to me, because I don't see what other people see. And I think good friends actually help tell us like what you are doing, what other people are seeing. Like they read the label to you, because you can't read the label.
Can't read all the labels.
So we meet, and I felt like the second that you walked in and we had our hug,
Yeah.
you were walking backstage with me to
Yeah.
before I stepped on stage. It was like we were best friends immediately.
Yes.
In 2.5 seconds. That's what that felt like at home.
It was amazing.
It was amazing.
And I have to say, you really saved me on that stage, because there was a terrible echo.
It was horrible.
It was so hard. And the dudes had it easy because they're all in like tennis shoes. They just like hopped off the stage and walked into the audience. And you and I are in like heels. And I'm like, well,
let me explain this. This is important actually for people that listen to this that are speakers. And this is a lesson that I learned. They asked me if I wanted to do a tech check for that. And I said no. I didn't want to do the tech check because
neither.
I didn't want to go early. I didn't want to get makeup on early, whatever. Learned my lesson. Actually, that lesson saved me at the GHL Summit when I did the tech check, even though I didn't want to. I remember this, whatever, that's another story. So I didn't want to do the tech check. I get on stage, and you guys, let me explain to you what this sounded like. You know when you do a phone call and the reception's not good and you can hear the echo of what you're saying back to you like a second later? So you say like, hi, Veena, and then you hear yourself saying, hi, Veena.
And a delay. There was like a 2-second delay.
Imagine being on stage speaking and hearing yourself back. So the train of thought kept going because I kept hearing myself.
Yeah.
And if you look at my Instagram, anything where I'm in that white short dress, it's a white short dress, you can watch it. I wasn't on my A game for that. But I got to get off stage and tell Veena, watch out, there's a huge echo. There's not much you could do about it, but at least being aware. I had no idea what was going to happen. And so I had to roll with it.
Being prepared really allowed me to do, it was still hard. It was the hardest stage because of that. But I knew that it was going to happen, so I could mentally prepare for it and already like figure out how to tune out all of the background noise that you're going to hear from the echo. And then I got off stage, and this is why you need non-competitive women, because a competitive woman would have been like, I want to deliver a better speech than her, and I'm not going to share this. And we know women like this. Like, we've been around this before. And then after I spoke, I made sure every time I saw a speaker, like I ran into Jeremy Minor a couple of minutes later, and I said, hey, FYI, this is what's happening. And so he was like, oh, got it, thank you. Again, like he was in tennis shoes, so he just like hopped off the stage because it was apparently fine in the audience, but you and I stayed on stage the whole time. But it really helped me. And this is why I love that you are doing stage leaders now, because these are the things that people who haven't spoken a lot yet just haven't experienced yet. But you're like, hey, there's a pothole there and I'm going to help you go around it. Like, you shared another tip with me that I never really thought about, but we were at Go High Level where you were speaking, and we were watching another friend speak, and I said something about like her earrings were beautiful, and you're like, never wear dangly earrings when you're speaking on a stage. And I said, why? I mean, not that I do normally, but why? I'd never thought of it. And you said, because if you have the lav mic that goes to your mouth, it causes feedback and it makes it difficult, and you'll have to take your earring out while you're speaking. And that's just like it's not something you want to do. It's not a distraction you want when you're speaking. And you said that to me. I don't think you even remember you said this to me when we were there, because it was like we were watching, we were cheering her on, and you just said it in passing. And I was like, in that moment, I'm glad it's coming up because I've been meaning to tell you this, but in that moment, I was like, this is someone who is a master of their craft. Because of this tiny nuance, you just like see it instinctively and can point it out and say, that's a roadblock for you. Go around it.
Thanks, buddy. But what I remember from that moment is our friend had to take her earring out.
I know.
Do you remember that?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, and that's what I remember from that. I was like, I don't know if I said it before or after. I noticed she had the earrings.
in the moment.
Yeah, like she had to take it out. That happened to me. Well, I don't know if that was the reason, but when the mic went crazy at the arena,
we were in Salt Lake.
yeah, that was
a hard stage too, because they didn't have the monitors facing the stage, so I couldn't hear anything I was saying.
no,
Their tone was not good.
we don't have to talk about that one. But yes, the whole point of, I think, any of this stuff is to be able to share it with other people.
Yes.
It is to be able to share it, and women, men, whatever. But I think specifically there is this thing that happens with women, and it happened to me. I'm glad I'm no longer in that phase where you get trapped in this game that everybody's playing, where it's if you get something, it takes something from me, and there's not enough to go around, and we're all competing with each other to get to something. And what I realized from that is that, first of all, you attract what you are. So if you're walking around being a competitive person trying to bring other people down, it'll just bring you down.
Yes.
And my favorite quote that Gary Vaynerchuk says about this, I love this concept, and it's so freaking true. Do you want to build the tallest or have the tallest building in the city because you built it the tallest? Or do you want to have the tallest building in the city because you knocked everybody else's building down? And if you build the tallest building in the city, you can teach other people to also build tall buildings. So your entire city grows the tallest buildings in the city. And I found that the more that we share these experiences, we say, hey, I messed up here. Don't wear dangly earrings when you speak. Hey, there's going to be a huge echo on the stage. I want you to do amazing. I'm cheering for you.
Yes.
The more that other women are going to go say your name in rooms,
Yes.
it's the law of reciprocity. The more they're going to look out for you. And the more we all win.
Right.
The more women are being asked to speak on these stages, the more ceilings we're breaking down, the more we're making changes. And so you have been a leader in this.
Thank you.
I want to just, everyone right now, like, pause what you're doing, go follow Veena. I would never, like what my grandma says, my grandma who just passed away, she'd always say, I love to give compliments, but I'll only give compliments when they're deserved.
Yes, as it should be.
Yes, and you deserve this compliment. Because you are the woman that goes into rooms and says other women's names and lifts other women up. And I do have a feeling that that is one of the reasons why you have done over $1 billion in real estate transactions.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, this is just so central and core to what I believe, because I just think women are really capable. And I don't think enough of the world sees that. And I think a lot of times we get limited by our perception of what we are capable of. And I think that's really hard. And that's what I love about, like, even our girlfriend circle, right? Like, we all put ourselves out there a lot. And that's intimidating in its own way, right? Like, when you post on social media, do you ever get worried, like, oh, this is going to go viral for all the wrong reasons? Or people be assholes on here, right? Like, all the time.
All the time.
Yes.
All the time. I want everyone to listen to this right now. And maybe not everybody is all the time. And you know what? I don't like using absolutes. So maybe it's not all the time. Often.
Yes.
I often, before I post or something maybe that, like, oh, could people take this the wrong way? Or am I going to get canceled for this stupid thing?
Yeah.
Or what I found is that actually most people aren't even really paying much attention. This is what I was talking about on Instagram. Like, no, it's really paying attention. Most people don't even see your stuff because of the algorithm. Yeah. And most people do not care or will not remember. Right. And especially with the news cycle right now, if someone gets canceled one day, they're back the next hour. They're back. What happened to the drones?
Yeah.
But this is where I was just thinking, the drones. There's terrible, horrific, if you're listening to this, I don't know when this is going to come out, but right now when we're sitting here, there's horrific fires happening in Los Angeles, and we're praying for everybody in LA. But what's interesting about the news cycle is that the whole thing was about the drones 2 weeks ago, and now the drones have disappeared. So it's just, the news cycle is moving so fast. So if you think about that with cancellation, or if people are caring about your post, or if people don't like it, or if something negative happens, it will probably most likely be forgotten very, 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 very quickly, or no one will even pay attention.
Also, what I found too is, because I actually have a post right now that's like going baby viral.
Oh, is it?
So yeah, it's going baby viral because it's controversial.
Okay.
So I did Dave Meltzer's podcast at SoFi Stadium. They have like this really cool backdrop. Have you done it?
No, I did it not there.
Okay, you have to do it there because it's just like such a cool setup. Like, you are on this balcony in their box suite, and then the whole stadium's behind you, and the lighting is awesome because it's like a dome, so it's great. But we were talking about women in investments. And I was talking about how when we angel invest, meaning for anyone who doesn't know what angel investing is, this is when like you have a company like Shark Tank companies, like those are angel investments. You make an investment, you're not expecting like a regular return, it's not interest, but you're investing to own part of the company. And so my husband and I, we make angel investments. And I was talking about one of my criteria when someone brings me an investment is show me your decision-making level and above and your board. And if I see only white dudes on there, I don't invest in those companies. And it's a small clip that's taken out of a 60-minute podcast episode. And it's me saying, I don't invest in all white male industries or all white male companies. And all these people were like, oh, everyone hates white men now. And I'm like, no, I need diversity on the board. Like I need women, I need minorities, I need to see representation for multiple reasons. Number one, women are statistically better at running companies than men. So if you look to like Silicon Valley, women do more with less money. And by every metric an investor cares about, women-led companies deliver. And so that's like first and foremost. But secondly, I'm raising 2 young brown daughters. I cannot afford to have a world in which they will walk into a room one day and feel like they don't belong there or they don't deserve to be in that room. I want to create companies where there are women that they look up to. Like my daughters and I, we consume your content. Like we talk about Jen Auntie and what she's doing and how amazing she looks. And you can be beautiful and smart and accomplished and put yourself out there. Like all these things are possible at once. And so I was like talking about that. So now this video, like as people are like, oh, she hates me. I was like, no, I didn't say we need only all women boards. I wouldn't be mad about it, but I also want diversity, which means that white male voices need to be included. It's just 31% of the population cannot represent 100% of a board or leadership in a company because it means you just don't care about working with the best. And I want the best.
What else goes into investing for you?
For me, so that's like the very first criteria I look at. I also don't invest in vice businesses.
What's a vice business?
Things like gambling, alcohol, like things like that, I try to stay away from, just not because there's anything wrong with it. I have a lot of friends that invest in that. They make a lot of money. They do really well. But I don't know that I feel like comfortable profiting off of someone who has like a gambling addiction. And, there's nuance to a lot of these industries, but those are things that I just try to stay away from unless there's some kind of like a medical scenario for us. So like a fentanyl clinic, right? Like that helps a lot of people with like deep depression, stuff like that. That's something I would consider, but I try to be really mindful and intentional with those types of investments. But other than that, like I want to see really strong leadership. I don't think it matters so much what you're investing into as it does the team that you're investing into. And then I also really want to see unsexy businesses, like dirty businesses. Probably the best business that I have in my portfolio outside of like multifamily and private equity is a roofing business, a roofing company. And, we started that from zero. I have a partner who runs the day-to-day, started it from zero. And last year in 2024, we did a little over 9 million in revenue. And so, yeah, in like 4 years, we've grown it. And, I have to give a lot of credit to my partner, who's the one who did a lot of the heavy lift there. But, those are things I look for because they're recession proof. I can't replace a roof with AI as of today. So those are things that are not really going away. So like things like window washing companies, flooring companies, accounting firms. There's a huge shortage of accounting firms. So like things that are really boring. That's what I look for.
Love that. Yeah, love that.
Get outside of your comfort zone and into your best life, one small step at a time.
And as you're talking about business, like when you could just put your business hat on and it's like, oh my gosh, she's so smart. I want to know, this is a genuine question that I have for you as a friend.
Yeah.
You travel a lot. You have a beautiful family. You've got 2 gorgeous little girls. You're an amazing mom. You have all of these businesses. You do a lot in your businesses. And you have a lot of great relationships. How do you do it? And I know that this is like I don't even like asking that question because I don't know if you really know how you do it all. But I guess what I could ask you is, what is your mindset around doing all of the things at once? Or do you prioritize one over the other?
I always prioritize the kids over everything else, and my husband is a close second to that. How do I do it all? I don't actually. This is like all a facade, right? Like people see your life, my life, our friends' lives, and they're like, oh, she has it all, she does it all. But it's just like definitely not true, right? We still go through our stuff. We have hard things. We face really tough situations. And, we talk about it, right? Like behind the scenes, like we'll be on the phone sometimes for like an hour and a half talking about something because we're both external processors. So
we're ruminators. Yeah. You need to have a good friend to be able to ruminate with you.
Yeah.
And not have a solution, just ruminate.
Yeah. We need to talk about it and we need to consult circle. And then we got to go back to see if the circle changed the second time. It did not, but we have to do that anyway. Because it's like an anxiety response, which we both have, which good or bad, I don't know. But I have a whole entire village. That's number one. And I think a lot of moms will try to like compare themselves to what I'm doing. And I feel like it's really important to point out, like I have a lot of privilege, like I have a lot of resources that I can spend toward childcare and drivers and private schools. And my husband, he is working less hours, that he's not working full time most of the time. And he's very hands-on. I have a great partner. I have all 4 grandparents. I bought 2 houses in my neighborhood so that they could live in my neighborhood. So there's a lot of help and a lot of resources have gone into it. It's really the single moms. We need to be asking them, like, how are you doing all of this? Because it is so hard just to have children, period. And then you have stay-at-home moms. I don't know how they do it either because I would go nuts. I would be a horrible stay-at-home mother. And yet women do this all the time because women are incredible. They can do so many things and be so multifaceted and do these incredible things while caring for other people, while being wives and mothers and daughters and sisters and friends. And so I have a lot of help, but I think the biggest thing that I did was I lowered the bar so incredibly low. At the end of the day, if we have 2 children that are overall happy and have eaten something for the most part, and even that's like negotiable on the day, I'm like, yeah, we just killed the day. We want it. We want it today. So my bar is like real low for success. And I think that's okay. And my house, if I didn't have like my housekeepers, and I have a woman who comes and I love her. She resets my home every day. She makes my beds, she organizes, she cleans up, does the dishes, like all the things every single day. If I didn't have that, my house would be a pigsty. Like it would be so bad. I would be embarrassed to ever have anyone over. So, it's just like lowering the bar and then not feeling guilty hiring things out.
I've just had this conversation with many. I had a group of entrepreneurs I was talking to, our high level group, our inner circle group, and we were talking about one of my members is a mom of 3 and she's traveling all over the place, working all the time. And she's like, I have to do the laundry. I have to clean the dishes. And I'm like, wait a second, you're making $1 million in your business this year. She just hit $1 million. It was her first $1 million. I was so proud of her. Yay for you, Menina, shouting you out. And I'm sure she'll be okay with me talking about this. And we were having a conversation of how like, it becomes time to delegate, and you're giving somebody else a job. You're paying somebody else. You're helping the economy. You're helping somebody make money doing something that you would not pay yourself that much money to do. That's actually,
you're buying back your time.
Buying back your time. Dan Martell.
Yes. Oh, you just had him. Yeah, you just had him on here. I saw it. Yes, you're buying back your time. And okay, I'll give you guys a resource. Free or not, it costs money, but it is a resource that will buy back your time. So there's an app called Poplin.
What is it?
Poplin. Poplin.
Okay.
It used to be called SudShare when I found it. This is where I started with buying back my time. So it is a laundry service, and it's like available in most major metros. And you go on the app and you go, okay, I need to pick up today. You put your laundry on the porch and you choose like, do you want free and clear detergent, scented detergent? Do you want to provide your own? You can provide hangers, they'll hang it, whatever. And you tell them like, I want it washed on coal with extra rinse cycle, whatever you want. Like they'll separate your lights and your darks, like all the things. Poplin. You put it out on your porch. It costs like $1 a pound. So for context, $1 a pound is like my husband and I probably do about 30 pounds, maybe 50 pounds on like a heavy vacation week or something, 30 pounds a week. So you put it out for $30 plus tip. there will be someone else, and usually it's like another mom who's a stay-at-home mom trying to like make money for soccer or whatever, right? She just wants a little extra income. She'll usually come with her kid in the car, pick up your laundry, and it's insured. So you have insurance on all of your garments. She'll go to her house, she'll wash, fold, dry, put away, and re-deliver your laundry by the next night.
It's great.
And you just bought back like 4 hours of your time for like $30.
For $30.
Yes.
If you think about it that way, it's a no-brainer.
No-brainer.
And I do want to pause and say, listen, if you there's things that people enjoy doing.
Sure.
Cooking, people enjoy that. That's stress reliever, great.
Yes.
But things like if you genuinely hate doing the laundry and you're still doing it because you feel like you have to, and if you could be spending that time building a business.
Yeah. Or doing
something you love, spending time with your kids.
It is. Cooking, if that's your thing, you could spend more time cooking and trying new recipes. Like, and it doesn't matter what it is, right? Laundry, like I don't do dishes. I hate doing dishes. I refuse to do a dish. So if I have to do dishes, I'm like, nope, we're eating on paper plates because I'm not doing dishes. And I'm not sorry about it.
We don't have to be perfect. To each his own. Create your own world. I mean, we live in 2025 now, and you can do it your own way.
Yes.
And I think we do get into trouble when this is a whole nother conversation, start comparing our realities to other people's highlight reels on social media, and we think that it needs to be done a certain way, and we start becoming perfectionists, and like, I have to be up to this standard that these other people on the internet have set for me. And in reality, it's most likely not happening like that behind the scenes. Maybe very rarely it is. But do you?
Yeah. Like,
do you?
Embrace what you have and what makes you happy, and don't worry about anybody else. And don't worry, like, none of us are coming and checking if your baseboards are dusted. Like, we're just not. So don't worry about that. Like, lower your standard. Because if you are stressed out all the time with doing all the things at max capacity every single moment, you're going to put yourself in a place where you're not enjoying the life you're building. It's for everyone else.
And life is
short.
I mean, it's long and it's short.
Yeah.
I learned this lesson in the biggest way, saying goodbye to both my grandparents.
In a very short amount of time.
In a very short amount of time last month. And I have not really experienced death yet in my life. Like, people very close to me. This is my first experience with that. And it really, and people say this, but you can't really hear it until you experience it yourself. What really matters at the end.
Yeah.
And it's so fast. It's fascinating. It's eye-opening. I don't know if I've fully like embraced it yet, if it's fully in my body and soul, because I think it takes a lot of unlearning to understand that. What was the quote that I heard this morning? That man, it's a Rumi quote, and it's going to kill me, and I'm going to post it online, and I forget it right now, but it's about wealth, and it's about the true wealth is something about just like having the experience that you want to have. And at the end of the day, at the end of life, when I looked at my grandma and my grandpa and I was able to communicate with them, they were not talking about the things they were able to buy. They were not talking about the clothes that they wore to whatever, or a dinner that they went to with whoever that made them feel cool or anything like that. They were talking about the love that they had for each other.
Yeah.
All my grandma was saying is, I love you so much. I love you all. I had such a wonderful life because I had the best husband in the world. The most important thing that you do in your life is you make a decision to spend your life with somebody that's amazing and that loves you. That's all they ever talked about at the end. Nothing else. None of the other shit matters. None of it. And my grandma cared about all the shit throughout her life. She cared about what she was wearing.
Grandma.
She cared about it all. But at the end,
she didn't care.
None of it mattered.
Yeah. So I saw a post, and I can't remember who posted it, but it was like, okay, name the 5 wealthiest people in the world. You might be able to name like a couple. You're probably not going to name all 5, right? Name the 5 top NBA MVPs. Name like all these people. And then, you know, as you think about these exercises, like name the 5 greatest gymnasts of all time. And you think about all these things, and you can maybe name like Simone Biles and like a couple of people, right? But you don't know the top 5. But then if I ask you like, hey, who are 5 people that have shown up for you when things have been hard? Who are 5 people that have made you feel good about yourself or made you feel special? Who are 5 people that you could call when you're in the middle of something, right? Like when I ask you those questions, like you're immediately thinking, okay, this person, this person, this person, this person, this person. Maybe your list goes longer than 5 people. And I think it was such a good reminder in that moment that like the money, the accomplishments, none of those things actually matter. What matters is the people that you do those things with, the people that you get to live your life with and experience life with. That's what actually matters at the end of the day. And
Amen, sister.
I just feel like we're so lucky to have each other.
I feel so blessed.
I know. I got lucky.
This was so fun.
I know.
This was literally, we got to catch up. I know. And create some content at the same time. I hope that this was valuable and enjoyable for you.
Yeah.
If it is, let me know if this style is cool. I mean, I feel like it was very flat. I got a lot of value. Thank you.
Same. I'm like, wait, we should just do this all the time.
I don't know. Maybe you could be a co-host. Maybe we should talk about it.
All right, let's see.
I'm part 2. All right, we gotta go. We gotta go to this brunch. Thanks for watching the Jen Gottlieb Show. Love you so much. Follow Veena on all the socials. She's fantastic. Do all the things with her.
Love you.
Love you.
Bye.
Bye.